I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trade.
Are you a man who once said death smiles at us all? All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I have duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What the fuck's up? Welcome to another Already Dead. Wow, that was really loud, at least on my end. I hope it wasn't too loud on your end.
No.
All right. Maybe I just have it. I think the audio too loud. But hey, it's back. Good to be back with you guys. Judging by the numbers from last week, you guys didn't give a fuck I was gone. So I'm glad to see that.
Wow,
I do want to let it be known, if you guys judge by the numbers, just judge by the numbers. Apparently you guys like this format. I am open to being bought out. If you want to make this you guys can take the moniker of Already Dead, and now this will be just the weird doppelganger of the. You guys are a weird yin and yang, because he's like more into like the occult and spooky, less into the parapolitical, whereas but he's not like not into it, and so it's the same thing. You guys are like almost perfect little yin yang. So I don't know. Maybe you need to start an 8th show. What's exactly what you need another show to start, Austin?
My God, brother, I barely feel like I have time as it is to kind of apply myself back. I got to get on. Honestly, I have to really organize my thoughts in terms of my upcoming solo project this week. It's my goal to kind of officially make a decision. That way I can apply myself in that direction a little bit more than just doing all these interviews, although I do really enjoy it. And I think it's honestly, it's so rewarding to be able to have these open-minded conversations. Obviously, like that in itself is just, it provides me with hope, but it also inspires me, because the entire goal was to just, as often as possible, have some sort of conversation that I felt like was constructive, but also with individuals who were objectively pursuing the truth, as I always say, right? And that just seems to be, as long as your intentions are pure and your heart's in the right place, right? Like then I think we should coexist. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And these conversations need to be had because so many people seem to be unable and unwilling to even venture into the territory where you might not, let's just say, you might not entirely agree on a certain perspective or approach psychologically to a certain issue, but to be willing to, in good faith, have that conversation and get to a point where you're at least attempting to preach solution. I know so very often I tend to, be given.
You and Donut argue? What is this?
No, not at all. Not
Okay.
at all.
I was like, cause in all honesty, I didn't watch the whole thing. I have a lot to catch up on. Apparently, once again, I mean, you guys did numbers, so apparently they enjoyed it. So, like, am I missing context? Did you guys argue about something?
Well, I did bring up the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, and he is Jewish, but it made it just
his horns pricked up.
it was a bit uncomfortable for a moment, but I think he just wasn't aware of which direction I was attempting to take with the reason that I even brought it up in the first place.
Okay.
But we still had a great conversation, and
That's
I think
good.
that honestly, it was at a certain point, it's just yeah, I think first of all, with him specifically, it was just like easy. He's such an easy person to have a conversation with, and
Yeah,
I
he
hit it
seems
off
chill.
with him like right away. You know what I mean? Like when I met him at Bro Grove, so it was just
Yeah,
I
he
felt
always
like
struck me as super chill, and he's one of those guys I've always been like, I need to have him on at some point. There's just never been a topic that's come on that I'm like, let's bring him on for. So I've never really had to get acquainted, but I have seen him in a lot of appearances and stuff. He's always super chill. He's always a welcome addition to pretty much anything I see him in for the most part. It's
really
never
good
like,
guy.
oh fuck, donut. Like,
No,
so like I don't have
he's
anything
such
bad
a
to say
nice
about the
dude.
guy at all. So
He's so funny
yeah.
too, man. And I felt like it was perfect timing as well with the Manhattan office shooting because of the numerology and the occult. Just kind of, it was again. We got to bring up the sort of what I found to be most interesting was obviously that it was on the 33rd floor, but beyond that, it was the address, which I thought was so strange, which was 345 Park Avenue, which that brings in this significant symbolism in terms of the Freemasonic, conception of the Pythagorean triangle, right? And
Which,
and
not to go on a side tangent, I told
Yeah.
you that's one of the first things I talked to you about whenever we talked after I got back from vacation. I was like, dude, because I went to one of the places, I went to Nassau, and so it's like this trading port, and so you like pull in. I'm like, dude, the first thing you can see is like I just see all the bigger buildings and stuff, and the first thing I see is just fucking is the Masonic fucking symbol, just boom, huge. I'm like, are you fucking kidding
you
me?
know that
But
just
it is
came up.
makes sense because it is like, oh, you looked up Nassau, and that was the first thing that popped up.
No, that specifically, it came up when I was researching Peter Nygaard the other day, and because of his fucking island in the Bahamas.
Dude, you talk to any of those people? Like, we've gone on. I think we've the second time been in Nassau, and I know we think we went on excursion. Another boat. This is the second time I think we went on excursion there, and so they have the guides, and they'll tell you stuff, and they'll tell you all the famous people there, and I'm like. It's funny. I remember going. It was years ago, and I remember they were telling me the little rail. They're like, "Oh man, and that's where so and so live over there," and they're like, and I got. It's funny. It's now years later getting the same spiel, and like now being far more parapolitically minded, and I go and I'm like, oh, like that's what I'm like catching all these like Oprah and like for one like and just some of these, and then I just you start picking up on it. You're like, oh, like you notice, and it makes sense. The area like that's the island area. Let's be real, that's near the islands. That's near like the Epsteins and like the islands and all that. So, and it's just kind of wealth moves in and out of there, just kind of willy nilly, and laws are kind of flimsy, and it's kind of almost the Wild West over there. So it is like. Kind of makes sense that you're like, oh, it's weird. We have these very prominent Masonic organizations that are also chilling up here. So you're like, what the fuck is going on over here? I don't know. I wouldn't be hanging out in that area on occult holidays and in well-to-do areas,
Right.
any of those dark alleys. I'd stay away from there. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
I got to tell you, the way that it came up was in terms of the Meyer Lansky drug trafficking, criminal enterprise, and when he first purchased Resorts International, the headquarters was in Nassau, right in the Bahamas, which is just crazy to me. But yeah, that the only other aspect of what fascinated me with the Pythagorean triangle, Freemasonic, like esoteric occult numerology attached to the Manhattan office shooting, is that the Pythagorean theorem has been presented as essentially, at least the occult context. And this is all new to me. I'm very much, I feel like a novice in terms of my ability to interpret and understand certain aspects of the various, because I think it's layered. It's not like specific chapters, interpret things. It's not necessarily just one rule book or one playbook and rule set. I would say, as far as this certain occult.
real quick, did you and Donut check and see when your birthdays were just for the shits and gigs?
Dude, that's the funniest thing too, is that my very first tinfoil hat, like it came up and I didn't even know who Donut was at the time. I'm like, who the fuck am I being compared to? And but yeah, it's honestly,
brother, I thought I'd never see you again.
I know. But yeah, it's like he was with Thomas when I met him and in Florida, and so it was just like, fucking, it was perfect. Honestly, both of us, I just got along with both of them. So
You did that moment where you were walking side by side and you turned and then you did and then you're like,
Right.
wait, what? Like,
it was definitely strange. But yeah, what did you say, Jules?
Well, nothing. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Donut is Thomas's handler. So
Hey, I hear this. Yeah. and I will say it's so funny. I saw and I'm not saying that he's unaffiliated with the Masons, because obviously we know Thomas is a Freemason, and I love Thomas for sure. But at the same time, I thought it was interesting because I saw Gematria is so fucking gay. John, calm down, sir.
It is.
Dude,
but don't forget, numbers represent meaning, and those can have larger meaning.
I went on the occult rejects last week, and fucking what's his name, Zach. I can't remember his name. It's gonna kill me. Hold on. Zach Hubbard came on, and he's like a big guy with the numerology and the Gematria. It is fucking my head hurt by the end of it.
Right.
Well, yeah, he does that. Because it's,
I will say,
it's a little retarded.
Interesting, and learned a lot about the number 201 and obviously 33. But
now, to be fair, I said it's a little bit retarded. It depends. It's contextual. It really depends on how lost in the sauce you get, what specifically you're talking about. You definitely can get lost on numbers, and that's kind of the point. You start looking for too much meaning.
At the very least, it can very quickly become a tool to, at the very least, damage credibility. I think there are ways, though, to essentially bridge that gap. But you can. It's a slippery slope. I think you can kind of lose yourself in the numbers at times, but I definitely don't dismiss the reality that there's certainly something there in terms of. I'm not entirely certain when they. It's very interesting because I mean I witnessed it with Event 201, the tabletop exercise and leading up to COVID, obviously predicting the outcome in every way and essentially providing the instructions to the media representatives and the individuals who are involved in the tabletop exercise, to where they knew exactly how they would react in the moment whenever green light go. COVID response is on, and essentially the initiated will understand, and that's where it was. 33 cases here, 33 cases there. I mean, you could see those crazy edits, and I know that you could pull those together very easily, but at the same time, it just seems like it's so obviously there's a legitimate occult connection to the reason behind why these numbers, at the very least, come up in certain contexts, especially revolving around this Blackstone executive, right? Very high up executive as well, being targeted on the 33rd floor. Allegedly, the individual perpetrator gets into the wrong elevator bay, which is just laughable. And did you see the picture as well that everyone was claiming was potentially AI generated, because the desk itself, it looked like was I think it was kind of like an illusion of some kind due to the camera angle, but I'm not entirely certain, honestly. That's just the way it's been explained away. But I will say that the context of, let alone the fact that clearly the perpetrator, allegedly he and his brother had been missing since 2018, his brother's active duty Navy. Then just after all this occurs, there's a mass shooting in I forget where he was, where the perpetrator grew up, and I believe it was in California, and was like a star prospect as a running back in high school. And allegedly the motive was, right, he had a note in his pocket, and it was about CTE. He's targeting the NFL offices, which are also in that building. Then I hear other journalists, just sports analysts and shit, who have been to the NFL offices. They said none of this made sense whatsoever. These aren't conspiratorial-minded people whatsoever, right? But their explanation was the security measures that have been long in place in this, specifically this office building, that the view from the street level of what was being reported by the media was drastically different than what they were typically used to whenever they at least went to this specific office building and to the NFL headquarters. And so to me, that definitely like raised some red flags instantly when I was hearing people who are unaffiliated with this kind of thought process already just raised instantly. They had questions because it seemed off how this guy would have been able to have even gotten through the lobby to the elevator bay, right? That's what they're claiming due to the security measures that are effectively in place. So that all, struck me. And then I'll have to pull up where the fuck he was a high school running back. But again, it's like, man, I played high school football. But you're not getting CTE. You're definitely getting damage. I mean, but lifelong altering CTE that's going to, no, dude, you have to at least play college, I would have to imagine.
Yeah, you might fuck your noggin up a little bit from a prolific high school career, but nothing crazy, nothing significant.
Exactly. And so you put all of that together, the perfect recipe, especially the fact that he was potentially missing. This fits the profile of potential Manchurian candidate, being kind of greenlit in an operation to carry out a targeted assassination of a high-level executive during some sort of negotiations. That's what I felt like the Luigi Mangione, at least at the very least, it's what it looks like in certain aspects of if you're considering all the details. It's hard to dismiss as this dude's legitimately, genuinely, emotionally upset and willing to, make this life-altering decision due to his passionate resolve in terms of the, medical industrial complex. I mean, but either way, you consider all of that, and then you consider it's on the 33rd floor, 345 Park Avenue, and you have the Pythagorean theorem connection with how it's apparently interpreted through Gematria, and the claim is that apparently it provides the theorem itself provides Osiris and Isis effectively, lead to Horus, right? And this is some strange sort of equation that is an occult equation. Do you know anything about this?
No, I genuinely try to. I'm not saying you're wrong, and the funny thing is, like, when it comes to NFL stuff, I actually do think it's probably super fake, and this would be the place where some crazy shit like this would be going on. They'd be doing weird shit to fucking signal to other elites or whatever. But at the same time, you're like, but it's hard not to also be like, I sound insane when I say this.
That's what I'm saying. Jules, reinforce my insanity, because here's the problem: is that it legitimately does seem like this was a 3-4-5 ritual, is what they claim. The 3-4-5 ritual, and it's a ritual that allegedly evokes the deities of Osiris, Isis, and Horus, and that the alignment of these numbers specifically allude to this blood and power. Essentially the sacred geometry being. I can't remember how it was described, but this is basically the bottom line, the conclusion of what they were claiming, the occult ritual aspect of the, sacred geometry being implemented at this layered operational level. Yeah.
I can't really speak on the sacred geometry, dude. I'd still, after a whole, episode, 2 hours with someone who knows a bunch, I still don't know shit. But, definitely. I mean, you see Crowley talk about this Aeon of Horus. Horus is, the sun, right? Like he is that in interpretation, what you would say would be like a Christ figure in Egypt, right?
Right.
So, and there's a lot to that story that some people say that, when he died or his eye was taken from him by Set, that those brought him back to life using this tool. And, maybe it looked like a phallus. I don't know.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
I mean, it does sound like you're talking about Pi and you're talking about, Horus, and these being representations of suns. So in a geometry sense, I can understand how that would be like line, circle, this, that, this is how you calculate this. And then these are the deeper meanings and blah, 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 blah. It's like this profundity where you're like, oh my God. And you're like, yeah, well, it just means that's how we calculate the circumference of a circle. And that's how the one elite saying to the other elite, hey, I picked up 300 kids the other day. Do you want to get them? Or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we attribute this crazy meaning, and it probably does have some meaning, but we're like losing our minds, and it's probably, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably some evil shit.
It's that story of the reincarnated God, that you see in all these mystery schools. And they just try to, they just try to modernize it nowadays.
I like this. Who's talking? What's happening? People are like, what the fuck is going on?
That's fucking hilarious.
Try to get
I
guess using
the voice of God, guys.
Gematria. Because I guess that equals 12 in Gematria. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. And 12 is that number you see a lot. So maybe it means something else. That's just, what I see is this reoccurring theme of like a fertility ritual, or, it is that time of year.
Maybe his bullets were like semen. Maybe that's what the representation was.
It makes
here.
no sense.
Well, yeah, it may have to do with the reproduction, because he was reborn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I was being stupid there.
Could mean
That was not serious.
soul rebirth. It also could mean physically reborn. Like, what's up?
Dr. Rivera says 12 equals 3. I disagree. 12 equals 12. I'm just fucking with you. I know what you mean. The 1 + 2.
Right, yeah, exactly. But he played high school running back at Granada Hills. So that was it. That was in California. So either way, he didn't even play college football, right?
Yeah.
And
what a bitch.
So there you have the 3.
Standout
You're back to the 3, right?
Right.
The Trinity, you could say it, the Egyptian Trinity.
For sure, buddy. Yeah, it is very interesting to say the least. But did you notice that there were these reports coming out that claimed that Nick Bryant was the individual source responsible for claiming that Robert Maxwell was specifically Russian KGB?
Oh, I actually have that. I don't know if you have it. Do you have that brought up? Because he does dispute that, because they literally I saw multiple of those. I saw multiple, and I think it was from the same account. There were like multiple of those, like fucking might be KGB, and even then, like the claim was he was saying they were hanging. He was like had contacts in like Eastern Bloc countries or something, and even then like makes a point to be like a good Jew spy would.
No, straight up, like a good Israeli spy. That's how he said it. It was perfect. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels like it's a way to lend credibility, and it was a misstep clearly, because he obviously disputed that publicly, but at the same time, God, my stupid dog. Anyway,
right, real quick. Oh, sorry. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was allegedly connected to the KGB and may have been acting as a spy for Russia, per investigative journalist Nick Bryant. This is journalist Nick Bryant has commented on his post and actively refutes ever saying such a thing. And this is Nick right here. Dude, please show me where I said that Maxwell was KGB. I've been told that he coalesced with Eastern Bloc countries like a good Israeli spy, which is funny. I've seen this done a few times where they try to, like the Tim Pools of the world and other people in that ilk, try to sort of obfuscate to like, well, sort of Russia. And even then it's like always this like rough, well, he was sort of in like Eastern Bloc countries. And you're like, you do realize that could also mean Ukraine, you stupid fuck, right? Like the one that would perfectly fit in line with the Jew agenda and like everything else, and like, perfectly in line with the establishment. Like, so this whole like silly, well, it's sort of near Russia, so like maybe Russia, right? Because they're the bad guys and we don't like them. It's like, how stupid do they think people are? So yeah.
And again, it's consider all the spooks kind of the usual suspects, right? Who are coalescing around this attempted misdirection surrounding the Epstein scandal. And I mean, Mike Baker is a perfect example, right? Infiltrating, I mean, at the very least, getting Joe Rogan's audience, right, to be under the impression that clearly Epstein was working with Russia or Chinese intelligence. And then you even have, he was like assuring this point. It's just another attempted reinforcement, especially if you consider Peter Thiel coming out and saying the exact same thing, right? Which is just hilarious that this is the approach, of deflecting away from Mossad, but then again, I'm very much like skeptical of it all. I'm becoming
which
extremely paranoid.
I don't know if we'll get. Maybe I'll save this for the morning dump later, or maybe we'll get into it. That kind of ties into this whole Fuentes versus Tucker thing, because I know we've kind of had this as Tucker a Fed shit for a while, and he's been saying a lot of good things, but I think it's key to know what a key doctrine of the CIA is when it comes to foreign policy. And like, cool, they're really good on Israel, and they really seem to be really focused on Israel with this Epstein stuff. But did they ever really condemn Israel? And or do they seem to have another priority like China? And it's like, okay, but what's the foreign policy? Like literally the stated foreign policy goals of the CIA is what they I forget what theirs is. They're currently like, I'm pretty sure like their current like what there was, I forget, like their policy was like they were focused on China. And so the idea is like the theory is we're supposed to pass it off to Israel so we can get out of the Middle East. And so therefore, so that's the CIA's like mindset. So like keep that in mind when we're looking at large, like certain influencers and people acting certain ways, and you're going, wow, they seem to line up with a lot of the same things I line up with. And you're like, yeah, cool. Keep it in mind. Like maybe from a high time preference perspective, like be aware. And at least I'm not saying like burn these people, especially if you don't have anything particular, but just be wary that they're going to swerve at some point. Anyway, what was even the
Alan Dershowitz that he's doing something similar. And by the way, Tucker goes on Sean Ryan. I thought that was very strange that sort of interaction where he basically, Sean Ryan says, you are a lot more on the inside than me. When he's talking to Tucker, and the way Tucker reacted was very interesting. And it was only like fucking less than 30 seconds. So I'll find it.
And then, by the way, I'm pretty sure Tucker even got seed money from like Teal. And then think about how all the times he's had fucking Vance on his show, and he never says a bad word about Vance. And we also just today had all these weird things being seeded out about a Vance Rubio ticket, because they've been making Rubio seem more of the moderate voice as of late. And obviously, then we have our strong JD Vance. So they're already floating this shit out. And it's like, look at the narrative network that's in place. And while I may have my qualms about Fuentes' politics and here and there, maybe he's a Fed too, but it's like, I don't know. It is like this guy is like if you look into the niche that the Tuckers seem to be trying to fill and the niche that Fuentes is filling, it's like they are kind of similar, filling a similar niche, whereas one is very distinct anti-Israel and like big deal and like also anti-China, like going to war with China. Like you may not like, Fuentes' politics, but he genuinely, what he preaches is America first, and he genuinely is like, fuck all that other foreign policy shit, like fucking the country, like fuck everything out. Like, so like this is it makes sense why he would be the target if you really think about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, they can both be Feds, but like if you really, if it's an either or, I kind of actually lean towards the gay little Mexican on this one.
I felt the same way, honestly, and but again, I do feel like there's somewhat of, I feel like there's so much misdirection happening, ranging the spectrum politically at this very moment, that we have to be cautious. As we always kind of urge the audience, just remain skeptical at all times. And I think that we all agree with that as far as the PSYOP season is concerned, right? And the year of the PSYOP, right? And I mean, when you have all these individuals who are coming out, and then Dershowitz can't shut his mouth, like, my God, dude. Why is he telling Glenn Beck that Epstein was like, he's certainly attempting to confirm that Epstein is not a Mossad agent. He wasn't a pedophile because he liked 16-year-olds. And that
it's a goddamn pedophile to me, doggy. Go on.
and exactly. And he's saying he wasn't trafficking children either, which is just fascinating to me. That this is, I mean, obviously it's his legal representation who's been publicly defending snuff films for generations, so it's not very surprising. But at the same time, you see the current administration doing everything possible to deflect away from the scandal itself, but in every way mishandling it at the same time, which is interesting to me, because even with like they're so desperate that you're seeing even this ridiculous UFO psyop being attached to the Epstein scandal, right? I mean,
is that even really anyone even buying that? Like, I don't think this feels.
not.
This reminds me of like when they were doing the alien shit during COVID, and it was like, I don't fucking care. Like, I completely, I keep seeing it and going, and then just like, whatever. Like, this doesn't even register into my like news cycle brain. Like, I'm just like, who fucking cares? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, they're not. Like, fuck off.
And fucking, meanwhile, we have like, again, Mark Levin. Dude, what the hell? He's legitimately calling for Jew-hating podcasters, right, who spread the Jews control our foreign policy blood libel to be denounced by the current administration. And
I wish they'd denounce me.
Yeah, honestly, at this point,
the views would go so fucking up.
Yeah, I know, right? And
don't denounce me, doggy.
Time to give it up.
I hope.
Then the need to, Shlomo.
Yeah.
Right. Dude,
you know what? The funny thing is, you say that, and I'm kind of joking, but I don't. Did you see the debate, or if you can even call that, with Dave Smith and Alex Berenson?
Oh God, dude!
Oh my God! It was the crucifixion of Alex Berenson.
That guy live on stream.
They killed that man. They killed that man live.
It was a fatality. No doubt.
We witnessed a murder, guys. But yeah, no, it was wild. It was that. It was the like shame, and then we go, fuck you, faggot, and then it was like, but he goes shame, and he go, you suck dicks, shame, you're a fucking homo. Like, it's over. Like, it's like that, and that's the thing. And that's kind of like, actually a funny thing is like, that's the dynamic a lot of times, and it actually kind of almost applies to this like Fuentes Tucker thing, is they do paint this Fuentes as like he's a fed, and maybe he is, I don't know, but they look at this old like, oh, he's a shitcoat or whatever, and it's like, but I think I feel like the new generation, they fucking have found almost the antidote to that, like the fuck you, like no, you invert that, you go no fuck you, this means nothing, all this like you trying to be like, oh my God, this thing, that thing, you're like, suck a dick, this is gay. Do you have an argument? Like, right. No one cares about, oh my God, you're a racist. Oh no, you don't like this, because it's just pathetic. It's just pathetic at this point. Nobody cares. You're not able to just play these out of context. Like, you can't play these old tricks. It's just not flying anymore. And I think that's, and it's funny. It's like, it's as weird as it is, Fuentes, it actually might be, or just whatever that rough force that like, that I guess, not to even say he's authentic, because like I'm just meaning generally speaking, whatever that is, that rough force of like, I don't know, the real authentic, I think there might be some shutting out of this gatekeeping of like, oh no, like it's not even necessarily him, but that like representation of that true feeling of that like real genuine fuck you, I care about like my shit, I don't want to be spending money to murder people, like whatever you want to call that vague. I think it's forcing its way through, and no matter how much they want to put on like, you know, snake oil salesmen and try to smooth it over with greasy whatever, people trying to be like, I'm just like you. You know, I think it just completely just keeps forcing its way through, and just fuck you, and just gets its way through. I don't know. I don't think you can just keep calling people you're gay or you're a fed, and you're like, okay, cool. Do you have an argument? Cool. I'm a gay fed. Okay, why? Like, what's going on here?
Right. No, I definitely think there's some sort of optimism I think we should have, you know, in a certain way, especially considering like just the language that was just forced to be changed in that document that had I think been public since like, what was it, April?
Sorry,
or some
real
shit?
quick. Hustler Bone says, how can you doubt my sincerity when I have a $50,000 chandelier made of antlers? But go on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because that's a big thing. We probably won't watch this. Probably don't have time to go through the clips. But it's funny that he attacked, one of the things he attacked Nick on was like kind of being a young, disaffected white man in like an urban area. And you're like, dude, that's literally your, like who you're supposed to be trying to appeal to.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
I like Nick. He has some hot takes, you know, but he's a little catty.
Yeah, it's catty. It's gay. It's tiring. I don't like that. Yeah.
You know, so
dude's definitely gay as shit.
I don't know if he's
I get that, but the Fed jacketing by Tucker Carlson is just the insanity. And then the big claim, which is the one that I really feel like has put his balls in the vice trap here, and I really feel like this was a real bad one for him. Is that he made that after that he goes, oh, I didn't even know, because he brings up that Nick brought up or mentioned the first time he supposedly saw Nick talking in a clip. It was about his dad and how he was a Fed or whatever. And he was like, no, he's not. And he's like, and then lo and behold, when my dad died, I found that out. And so essentially made the claim that he didn't know his dad was a Fed, was in the CIA until after he died. And then that's when everyone, the internet sleuths, do what they do and go, fuck you, here's you on camera, or here's saying the exact opposite. And it's also just one of those things that's like, it defies credulity. Like, if you understand the role that Tucker played, like, if he literally, fucking Putin called him out for fucking trying to join the CIA. Like, Putin in his interview said, oh yeah, you tried to join the CIA. I think you just mentioned, Sean Ryan recently mentioned that something along those lines. So it's like, and then his dad, he literally, there's pictures of him with freedom fighters in Nicaragua or Venezuela or whatever, in some fucking South American country, at the time that his dad is running the Voice of America, which is the CIA's mouthpiece for foreign nations and color revolutions. He's on the ground holding fucking, literally smile on his face, holding like, as gay as a term it is, an assault rifle, or I don't know what specific gun is, with fucking freedom fighters on the ground. And when he's questioned about it, it's just, oh, I had a fun fucking zany time in college. He never really explains much about it. So it's like, this is a time when his dad was literally handling the rhetorical side of it, and it looks like he was handling the on the ground side of it. And then then you have this guy now in modern day traveling to see all sorts of foreign leaders and this and that. He's got the ear of the president. I mean, I don't know. It's just, this is insanity to go. This fucking kid over here, he's a Fed because like, it's just retarded. I don't know. I feel like he really showed his hand there, and I don't know. I think people need to be aware of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, whenever he does good things, I mean, I'd say at the same time, it's unfortunate, I guess, would be my thing. Because it's like, say, for example, what comes to mind is that recent Aguilar fucking interview, the whistleblower. And it's kind of like, one of the big things with him is all the ins and outs of like these smears he's dealing with. And it's like, sort of his debut was Tucker. So you're like, oh, fuck. And now if you're like, he's even more dubious, you're like, but I don't know. The point being, it's like, this is one of those things that you're like, if they could easily pull a rug pull here. I mean, I will say he does seem legit. I've been kind of paying attention to the ins and outs of Aguilar, and he seems legit to me. So I don't know. Maybe he could end up being some sort of glowy fake op. But I mean, it also matches up with what we've been covering on the day-to-day when it comes to Gaza. So it's also like his story matches up with reality. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing in Gaza, right? Complete and total.
Oh, real quick, sorry, Austin. I hold that thought. I wanted to finish this because I didn't realize there was actually, I guess, the guy responded to this, and I didn't realize that. So I just wanted to read this real quick in the interest of fairness to Patrick and I guess Nick, so we can hear. Patrick says here, you said Russian intelligence. For those who are listening and maybe not watching, we're going back to the Nick Bryant thing. Patrick Webb, the person who, some reporter, I think he's the one who runs this leading report or whatever.
Yeah.
He said, you said Russian intelligence in response to Nick, and said, which at the time would have been the KGB. Come on, Nick. Don't be disingenuous by playing with semantics. I can pull the clip if you want. Which, okay, even that kind of feels sort of like semantics because you're talking about pre-block, like what we're talking about USSR? Is that what we're talking here? Anyways, and he goes, why did you pull that clip so quickly, says Nick. It's because your editing job was rather slipshod and transparent. I said, but he was also a spy for... cut. Russia was then inserted. You're being rather disingenuous in your attempt to tar my credibility. Is a proliferating Epstein justice making you a little nervous? I'm not a Scientologist, so perhaps benzodiazepines would assuage your anxiety. And the next time you try to hurt my credibility, don't make it so blatant. It also makes you look stupid. Fuck yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, Nick. Get him.
Oh, get him. Yeah, that was, I guess, that was earlier. This is early afternoon. So I think that's why it slipped through, because this was from yesterday when it was popping off. So then I guess in the middle of the night, maybe Nick had a couple glasses of wine and he went, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, I guarantee you. That's so funny. That's badass, though. It needed to be addressed because clearly, especially in this current fucking environment where at every level they're deflecting away from, I think, obviously, what we should be prioritizing, in terms of just the Epstein network in general. which it's always going to be the case where they would prefer, to obviously they would like Epstein to kind of seem as if he's far more important within the context of the network itself than he truly is. And I think that's being very effectively accomplished in certain ways, where you are almost having individuals legitimately sort of like interested in Ghislaine revealing certain things, right? As far as in terms of this entire situation with Ghislaine being transferred to, what was it, Oklahoma, I believe. Isn't that where she was just recently transferred? And the prison transfer itself is very interesting. If you just look into that, right? Because, from Florida to Texas, she was just, and this is an honor dorm is what it's called, which is fucking weird. And especially because Ghislaine, she just came out, this was reported today, that she's against the U.S. government's plan to release the grand jury transcripts, which to me kind of points to just the reality of, first of all, I kind of thought it was interesting what Brad kind of tweeted. His analysis instantly was they're going to release the Maxwell DOJ interview transcripts and then call those the Epstein files, right? And I thought that was actually a really interesting take, because it does make sense. It kind of almost perfectly fits with how they would like us to, I think, once again, misinterpret how the network was facilitated, functioned, and also was protected in every way by the U.S. State Department. I believe the DOJ was even, or the DOD was directly funding Epstein in many ways. And specifically his network as well. And so the idea that he was specifically Mossad and he was, directly tied to one intelligence organization, I think it entirely dismisses the way that intelligence organizations function and facilitate these
contractors. They're contractors, dude.
And they coalesce. They work together, to essentially compromise political assets at every level. And so once you understand that you have like a real State Department, kind of evidentiary track record that you can follow. And you can see where the money came from in certain aspects of what has been revealed in terms of the Epstein network itself. And that is where it becomes very strange, because not only were they funding these insane biotech, startups and these very interesting, the Lifeboat Foundation was one where not only Peter Nygaard was obviously providing funding, but this is where it overlapped with the Epstein network, where he also had been providing funding to the Lifeboat Foundation, which that connects to UNESCO, right? And it's essentially a state subsidy in a way to launder money and launder embezzled money, right? In certain ways, which is just another aspect of what spooks do, how they function, how they facilitate the operation and the enterprise. And so I'm not at all surprised that this is kind of playing out the way that it seems to be. And I think that there's going to be almost a permanent rebrand as far as if they're able to achieve it. As far as Ghislaine is concerned, I honestly think that there's going to be, much more involved with kind of rebranding her image to the public in the coming days, right? And much of it will probably have to do with these DOJ transcripts and her potentially providing names to essentially effectively achieve a pardon, right? Which I also think is legitimately a possibility. I think the potential reality of both Diddy and Ghislaine getting pardoned is far more realistic than people would like to believe, right?
Yeah.
And so, especially you consider, like we were talking privately about how there was a Deadline article recently, just happened within the past 7 days, and it was legitimately, it was last week, kind of priming the subconscious mind of the general public to the idea that, Trump's heavily considering granting Diddy a pardon, right? And then now what do we have? We have today, I believe, it just reported before we went live. A couple hours ago, Diddy officially requests this pardon from Trump and the current administration. And it's very interesting considering the fact that that this apparently there have been talks between the current administration and Diddy's legal counsel that have just kind of been conducted recently, because it was confirmed by one of his legal representatives on CNN on some sort of segment. And so that in itself, like, you know, it does feel as if it's the slow drip toward, right? It's kind of like, this is how they, at the very least, I know it effectively becomes a demoralization campaign in a way, but when they prime the subconscious minds of the general public, they're far more willing to accept the dystopian outcome. And I think that this is a part of the strategic social engineering and how they consistently manufacture consent for the current structured system. And so once again, in months from now, let's say, right, when obviously I'm just the notion becoming that this media cycle is so fucking like overwhelming, right, that it is so ridiculous how many things are just entirely forgotten within a week's time, right? And so it really doesn't take all that much to distract us, you know. And I mean, I consider that just in terms of even the Epstein scandal itself distracting us from Gaza in a certain way, and certain as far as various geopolitical conflicts, they're in permanent escalation, it seems like, in the environment we're residing in at this moment. Yeah, this constant strategy of tension, exactly. Mm-hmm. And what did Netanyahu just say? I mean, he just came out with plans for the full occupation, right, of the Gaza Strip, and they've already been talking about the concentration camp they're building in the south of Gaza, which is obviously where they're intending on, at the very least, permanently driving these individuals into this what did they call it? A
humanitarian city.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I mean, meanwhile, you have what wasn't there just some sort of whistleblower who I think he was a Green Beret.
Yeah, Aguilar. That's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, that's Anthony Aguilar, the GHF whistleblower. Yeah.
So Aguilar's the GHF whistleblower. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that was
Lieutenant Colonel. I think 24, 25 years retired or some shit. So, I mean, he's a Green Beret. So it is one of those things where he's like, but I don't know. I mean, going in and out of it, he seems pretty genuine. And if anything, he actually, if you watch his interviews, he's actually kind of normie pilled. Like, cause like I know at one point he was going on about like October 7th and repeating all the atrocity porn and stuff. And you're like, oh, he legit believes like all this shit. And I think he just genuinely just saw some shit so fucked up that was just like, what the fuck? Like, I think that's really as genuine. Just despite the fact this guy was a Green Beret. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I think he strikes me as a guy who found a way to, like, in his head, think whatever the things he were doing was righteous or whatever. But in a certain sense, he was basically a hired murderer for the government. And he still was like, yo, what the fuck? So this is where we're at right now. That this guy is the one who's coming out going, what the fuck? You were mentioning earlier about how, like, this could affect, like, maybe this could even distract. But this also... It seems at least they're floating out, that this could be part of the reason, and there might even be historical precedent about that. On that, I felt like this would be a good clip for us to watch before we went to intermission and brought on calls, because I feel like this would be a good thing to think about. Because we're in this weird info war game. This is Ben-Menashe. This clip comes from. I don't know a ton about his background, but he is a former senior Mossad agent, but. So I don't know, like, I mean, how we were talking about Green Berets, like, I don't know. I mean, this guy right here has the truth for this guy, I don't know. Like, him saying this, it's hard to, does this mean this is true? Does this mean that this is what the Mossad wants us to know? But I think you guys should listen to this. It's about 2 minutes long, but I think it's really interesting what the claims he makes here. So let's go ahead and watch this.
Last week, Epstein's lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, came on this show, the emeritus professor of law at Harvard, and said, no, Trump's behavior as regards Gaza, as regards bombing Iran, as regards bombing Yemen, all his behavior can't be explained by any blackmail tapes of Trump. Do you believe in any way that the genocide in Gaza is being prolonged by the late Jeffrey Epstein?
I certainly believe that the Israelis are making sure that the Americans do not stop them from the killing in Gaza. I believe that the American government is sort of trapped by the Israelis. Jeffrey Epstein is one of their tools to trap them.
And what do you think of Dershowitz's denial?
Hold on a second. I want to give you an example. Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton, Ehud Barak met Arafat in the 90s, and there was no deal. The reason was Epstein. They were being blackmailed by Epstein. Ehud Barak was also a friend of Epstein, the prime minister of Israel at the time. But he was being blackmailed by the Israeli right wing as well. And they stopped an agreement with Arafat. They were about to reach an agreement there for a two-state solution. But that was stopped because of Epstein. Mm-hmm. They were both being blackmailed by Epstein.
Ehud Barak has been on this show. He walked off this show. People can look it up. And that was not because I asked him about any blackmail alleged evidence against him.
Wild shit.
Yeah, man. I think that people should remind themselves, though, that, clearly with the attempted rebrand of Ghislaine and what will be floated out as her, viable utility in terms of exposing anyone of importance and prominence in the Epstein network. You obviously know they're already making behind the scenes sort of negotiations and compromises and that has to involve not naming any sort of, in terms of just implicating individuals in the current administration in any real way. If you're considering, how Trump likes to attempt to defend and justify his actions by claiming that all these files of Epstein and were deliberately manufactured as a fake Democratic hoax, but now he's in charge of the files and can't delete the files. That sounds very strange to me, at a certain level, right? Because it's kind of we
were talking before this. Keep in mind where Epstein was when he died and under whose care. And who's looking more and more like they may have incentives for him to go, which we were actually talking to, I believe, Michael Wolff, the author, who I believe has talked to him while he was in prison in 2016, that he made some claim recently that Epstein had made claims that he was scared of Trump, like he was worried something could happen, and he even showed Michael Wolff something that looked of. Essentially a photo of, I believe there was like some girls of dubious age looking with him and Epstein. There looked like it was like a cum stain on his pants, and they were like pointing at it and kind of laughing, like clearly a blackmail photo. And and I guess he made some sort of statement of like, I'm not crazy, I would never release this, like kind of like something. It made some sort of implications that he could get killed. And I think he made some statement that Trump's a man without scruples, essentially implying that something could happen to him. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing there is damning, but it's looking more and more like shit. Well, I mean, it was his AG that was almost immediately ruling it before I think the paperwork was even dry, was ruling it a suicide. So
absolutely. And, he didn't have the privilege to go to his island though, man, which is the most hilarious way that he could have attempted to, deflect away as well. He just, again, every way mishandling this. It's a blunder at every level of their attempted sort of reaction in every way. Although it seems as if he can't help himself but to bring it up personally, even when it's not actually being addressed, which is also very revealing to me, especially considering how much he refused to talk about the assassination attempt. But what Virginia claimed specifically in court about Ghislaine in her statement Ghislaine was far more the ringleader in terms of operating the network, and Epstein was getting brought 3, at the very least, like up to 3 women, if not more, per day. This was allegedly the case. And so if that's truly happening, then, this individual is good at one thing, and that is laundering money, embezzled money that is clearly involved in clandestine weapons trafficking, drug smuggling, and obviously the overall enterprise, the scope of the enterprise that we discuss so often. But yeah, I just think it's fascinating to see what Virginia said in terms of just and then we'll go to break because this is crazy.
Real quick, Austin, you said something a minute ago. I want you to read this real quick. What does it say? Tell the audience what it says right now.
Let me see this. All right. Judge Aileen Cannon has allowed the DOJ to keep evidence in alleged would-be Trump assassin Ryan Routh's case secret on the grounds that, quote, its disclosure could cause serious damage or exceptionally grave damages to the national security of the U.S.
All right. Tune in for the morning dump tomorrow, guys. or go read it over Headline USA from Ken Silva. That's a great piece, I'm sure. We'll cover that probably tomorrow. But yeah, go ahead. Finish what you were saying with Ghislaine. But yeah, I just wanted to, as you were saying that, I was like, oh yeah, that. So go on.
It's crazy. But yeah, she just claimed personally that Ghislaine Maxwell forced her into this sexual activity with Epstein and when she was 15 years old. And that she had sexual intercourse with Jean-Luc Brunel many times when she was 16 through 19. Brunel, she says, ran some kind of modeling agency and appeared to have an arrangement with the U.S. government where he could get passports or other travel documents for young girls. He would then bring these young girls, ranging in age from 12 to 24, to the U.S. for sexual purposes and farm them out to his friends, including Epstein. This is the reason Jean-Luc Brunel was murdered in a very similar situation as Jeffrey Epstein, right? I mean, come on now. It seems as if, and I'm very, very surprised that Peter Nygard is still alive, but I think he's been given this sort of from everything I can hear, even his own son, who helped with the conviction and helped publicly kind of, expose him.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with all their weird teen modeling agencies that all of them seem to have, all their own personal teen modeling agencies.
Crazy, Brad.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she says that, Jeffrey Epstein told her specifically that he slept with over 1,000 of Jean-Luc Brunel's girls, and everything that she saw, she claims to have been able to confirm that claim. And so, yeah, well, I don't know, like when she puts it in those terms and claims that Epstein, Brunel, and Maxwell, this is in 2015 in the affidavit, that they loved orgies with kids, and that Epstein also trafficked her for sexual purposes to many other powerful men, which we know the certain list. There's 107 names that are very prominent in terms of the Black Book. And a couple of them I should mention, honestly, because I'm telling you right now, a brief bio on who the fuck these people are, it's way more of a sort of direct implication as to kind of the overall level of human compromise involved in that specific operation, and again, I'm thinking that we're sort of overcomplicating it at this time.
Yeah. You can just grab the guest log from the Wailing Wall, and then that's it. You got your Epstein list. That's all you need.
Dude, what the fuck? Yeah,
throw them all in jail. Every single one of them. God, you go to the wall, straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Mike Johnson, like what?
I'm doing this. I don't even mean to.
You're right. It's natural.
Yeah. All right, Austin. We're at almost like an hour. I think now would be a good time to take our little intermission, take a break, come back for some calls. I mean, if you got any other little info you want to sneak in here before we can.
She just said, obviously, very powerful men, and that she was very fearful to this very day. And then obviously we know what happened to Virginia. And yeah, we'll get into a little bit more, honestly, when we get back, because there's
I'm sure
plenty has been happening. Yeah.
And whatever doesn't get covered, I'll cover later on the morning show or whatever. There is so much to go through. Right. But go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage, Jules. And we'll, everyone, you got a few minutes to go take a leak, watch this beautiful footage.
So that we can survive, afford our way of life, that our young people can have houses and have children. That's priority number one.
it's gonna end. The world's gonna end if we, in any way, shape, or form, in any way perceptively cede any sort of power to the Democrats, regardless of how dog shit the Republicans are.
They go out spouting nonsense, conspiracy theories, and spreading it all around.
Now this, my friends, this is the real goy slop. That is the real goy slop. That is this is the floated in front of you. You're gonna get your deportations. You're gonna get this. That's the real goy slop. That's what this is.
Black pill too, right? Like this fucking defeatist attitude that he has, and just I don't know, man. He's cooked. He's talking about other people. He's cooked. How about that?
It just further reinforces that we're living in an environment where we're surrounded by political theater at all turns, right? In every direction. Like having your head on a swivel isn't enough, you know, like engaging in political propaganda. We're all in these sort of digital gulags at this very moment. And, you know, we're getting this kind of like reinforcing algorithmic feed that is incessantly disrupting our ability. This is a part of the demoralization aspect of the ideological subversion. And so we're all falling further and further, deeper entrenched into our camps of ideology.
Nobody will be saved if not everybody is vaccinated.
It changes you if you take a genetic editing. It's you who are changed.
The integration of those years. Just think of sensors planted into our brains. The opportunities are immense. The frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack. The COVID-19 crisis.
We shoot the fingers to the bone. We can live well enough alone. We live in troubled times. Don't tell me everything's fine.
The people assume we are just going back to the good old world which we had, and everything will be normal again. This is, let's say, fiction. It will not happen.
That's when the world caved in. That's when your world fell the fuck apart. I saw your world fall apart. I saw your world fall apart. I saw your world.
We need a great. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the real virus, but to shape the system and to shape our global destiny.
Hell yeah, that fucking crushed. Barely even got a chance to go pee. I got 2 seconds. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I gotta say the lyrics in that one really just hit.
Right.
I was like, all right, really. I wonder what his feelings were on those people. But by the way, I do want to let you guys know this is a call-in show. For those I don't know if I think I skimmed through the show last week. I don't know if you guys even took any calls. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
Oh yeah, no. I honestly, I just fucking just. First of all, I wasn't even intending to keep him for 3 fucking hours, so, so that was unintentional. But at the same time, I felt as if just because I didn't want to juggle it all, I figured that if somebody maybe asked, or I should have probably asked the private chat if they wanted to hop in at the end, but I didn't even address it with Donut at the beginning, so I decided against it in the middle, obviously, but yeah, it was honestly a lot of fun. I will say that much. But
we'll have to have him on again at some other time. Maybe take some calls next time. But we're taking calls now. So I do want to let you guys know the where Jules puts these out at is usually during the intermission. He drops the links in all the different live chats. I believe he drops it on his Twitter as well at Graypill with an E. So you can find it on those different places. But if you do want to get priority. If you want to be one of the first people, you also get first dibs on coming up on screen. You're also going to hang out in the pre-show. I know I got in here like damn 20 minutes early today. I was setting things up, shooting the shit with the pre-show people. So that's something you can get. But you also get the link earlier than everybody else. So you will be there. You guys get first dibs. That's if you're patrons of me or Austin. I'm patreon.com. So there's no way Jose 2020. Austin, I don't know if you remember what your URL is. Either way. Support one of the homies, and we drop the StreamYard links in there. You can join us for the call-ins. So with that, I don't know if there's any of y'all. I see a handful of y'all back there. So if any of y'all do want to jump in, you can. Otherwise, me and Austin can just freestyle. I see
got one of mine in there.
Let's do it, dude. Bring them on. Let's go, doggy.
What's up, Wolf? What's up, Robert? You can come up here if you want, guys. Bobo said I don't. Okay. He said he's got nothing. Okay, well, I guess y'all just hang out, and if they want to come up, they can come up.
You're good. I prep a lot
I'll
of
be here to bring them up and escort them on stage.
Yeah, your wolf dude just deuced you, making you look funny, Jules. Fucking.
He probably he's probably like, what the fuck? You call me out for being on here.
Oh my god.
Well, all right. Well, all right. I guess we can go back to the Epstein shit we were talking about. What were you, or wherever you want to bring it, bud?
Yeah. I just wanted to address. There's a couple of stories that definitely caught my attention. One of them was, and I had actually pulled this last week, but I figured I wanted to have the discussion with you personally, honestly, because it fits this sort of precedent-setting notion of what they're attempting to implement in the public schooling system as this sort of like it's a slow roll to this new domestic, what I believe to be, clearly we're going to have domestic drones being utilized in our airspace far more often going forward than most of us would be comfortable with. And that comes perfectly as far as a great window into this example is these attack drones that are being greenlit at these and deployed at these specific public schools, just these select U.S. schools. And the motive behind it is to allegedly stop school shooters and emergencies. And I pulled up the actual school that was like ground zero for this operation because it's kind of fascinating. And the individual who's involved in like the company, which this is now being called Campus Guardian Angel, is the company that is founded by U.S. military and defense contractors that are involved with providing these drones to these schools. And so for me personally, this seems as if it's just another kind of once more, you're seeing the totalitarian tiptoe, and we're already witnessing the real ID concept, the mass biotech surveillance systems that are being implemented in real time. At every level, it's fitting the playbook of the potential recipe that we've been kind of shouting at the rooftops as far as what they're attempting to achieve. And in every way, it fits the Great Reset, Operation Lockstep. I mean, it fits the agenda to a T. And so the technocratic state is definitely waiting in the wings. And I think this is just another perfect example as to that 100% taking effect and being implemented in real time. And so this is for, let's say Campus Guardian Angel is an Austin-based tech company, right? And this is so strange, dude. Watch this video. It kind of blew me away that this is actually happening and taking place in the domestic U.S., right? And in Texas, of all places, really, kind of implementing this as a sort of way to defend against mass shootings. But watch this, dude.
Is the future of school safety. Our job is if somebody comes in a school with a gun, you respond in 5 seconds. This is how it would work. Silent alarms in the school alert the company, then drones strategically placed on campus get deployed, and these drone pilots would navigate
It's a slippery slope.
Orders in Austin, working in tandem with the school and police, inflicting non-lethal damage to the suspect, or dummy in this demo, with pepper rounds and direct impact.
All these markings, that's from the drone?
Yeah, so the little holes are from drones, and then these different marks here, these are from the pepper rounds bouncing off the guy's chest. All of it in effort to buy time.
Dude, I feel like I would fuck those shits up.
We can in a non-lethal manner so that they're unable to continue murdering children. The program is not active in any schools yet, but the company says it expects to start training programs in 4 Texas schools this year. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just approved state funding to bring in 3 of their school districts.
Do you want these drones in your school?
Absolutely.
John Ludd's father and principal of this charter school in Miami hopes to have the peace of mind.
As a father, you ask me, what am I willing to give up in my child's school for protection? Everything.
The fear is in the data.
I'll give up all my rights.
Right. It's weird because this seems like I'd rather just good guards. Like hire a few good guards, you weird motherfuckers.
Right.
Like,
dude, no, man. We are going to get this definitely had you said this to me it just falls perfectly in place with the next rollout, right? The dystopian rollout.
Wow, with thick jacket, you're good.
Oh my god. But I'm just like, the drones will be like shipped in like 6 drones a piece, I guess are going to be shipped for like 15 grand to these school facilities, and allegedly they are going to soar through the school halls.
Sorry, I had a funny visual picture. I just imagine like a guy in body armor and like with like a AR in each hand and like doing like the Sound of Music thing, and there's like drones around him shooting him, but it's like they can't do a goddamn thing. It's just
right,
like just spinning like a Sound of Music style while shooting children.
It says right, exactly. Just wait till the first drone actually murders a child. It'll be fascinating. But yeah, they say that these drones will actually operate at up to 100 miles per hour in the actual school hallways.
Well, that shit looked like it was made out of Connects.
I know. But this whole story seemed crazy to me. It just felt like another layer to the agenda being implemented, and kind of like, again, it's always through the public schooling system. And I think that this is just another great example as to why you need to pull your children out of public school. At least that's just my philosophical perspective. But at least if it's possible, clearly, and you have the means to.
By the way, we got somebody, and it's one of our favorites.
I was going to ask me if he wanted to come up, but that's a redundant question.
We know he wants to come up.
My brother.
What's up, dude?
On? I saw the drone thing, and I jumped in a private chat here, and people are already saying it. So just shout out to everybody who was more original than me. Skeet shooting, right? Take lessons now, man.
Yeah,
themselves while they're still legal. In addition to what you're talking about, have you seen the thing about the perishable currency that they want to throw in there?
Interesting.
Like the idea that it'll be like a digital dollar that
goes bad,
that terminates, and you can only buy certain stuff. They're talking about it right now for federal programs, so everybody will get on board. Like, yeah, they shouldn't be buying fucking cigarettes on Snap anyway. Which
social credit,
but that's where it starts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that checks out.
That's
That
the
makes
social
sense,
credit
yeah.
system all day, and
Yeah,
it'll tie directly.
All the above.
Yeah, it directly.
Dude, you got
into-
one of the hats in before they're probably not being made anymore.
True.
Oh man.
Oh well, whatever. We're not
Shit,
doing
I
that.
forgot my point. What?
Yeah, I know, whatever.
It is a conversation starter though. The hat is like,
Yeah,
I'll wear it to the store and they're like, what is that? I'm like, how much time you got?
Yeah, no, it is a sick hat. He'd made that design a long time ago, and I bugged him about it. Like, you need to drop that, and that's when he finally did. So hopefully, even if he doesn't keep it, I don't even know. I haven't even checked to see if like there's still a No Way Jose tab or whatever already dead. But hopefully, he at least keeps it up somewhere because it is a really dope design. The Operation Gladio. So
I think Already Dead is still up there.
Is it? Well, cool. Whatever. Buy some. I don't care.
That was it for me. I'm in between cries, and I was like, oh shit, they're talking drones. All right, you gotta,
Yeah, any thoughts
I'm
on
gonna
that?
check.
Like, this does seem ridiculous to me. This seems like retarded because even like on the security side of things, this seems dumb. Like they said, they gave this like highfalutin Miami guy, and you're like, I'd fucking anything for my kids. They're like, well, why don't you just hire a normal guard?
Right.
Like, I feel like that's like 2 guards would be more effective than whatever the fuck that is.
Dude,
like,
I'm telling you, they claim that within, depending on the campus size, they're saying that it should be able to locate the active shooter within like this ridiculous time frame. They're claiming up to 15 seconds of response time because it'll be within the school itself. And
so would a guard.
I know, dude. Hey, I'm with you guys. You don't have to convince me. I just think that's hilarious as far as and then you bring up this digital token that disappearing digital token or whatever that they're going to tie to this sort of new age social credit system, which is just the slow rollout. So it, we all know this is how they efficiently just manufacture consent for the policies themselves, because they'll provide these incentives to the underclass, and they'll take the bait at every level, which they always tend to. And what does that perfectly fall into? The trap that is now this is tied to your personal consumption as far as like as a consumer yourself. Let's say you can only, and this is always the dystopian framework of it, which obviously you'll be kind of like, let's say you've purchased too much alcohol this month or something of that nature, right? You can essentially be turned away and rejected at the store level by the employees themselves due to these operations and based on the currency you're attempting to use, right? It'll start that way. I'm sorry, you can't purchase the alcohol utilizing this currency that we're providing you. And alcohol is probably not the best example. I'm just using it because it'll probably start there. I would imagine.
Or like COVID, they'll encourage booze. Like they closed down a lot of churches, but they didn't close down any dispensaries or liquor stores. I noticed that.
I know, man. I know.
And then there was something Namrock had posted. I think it was last week or the week before. That was spooky. It was 2 professors from Western Michigan University talking about dropping Lone Star ticks on neighborhoods to try to infect people with alpha gal, so they'll stop eating meat and it'll be good for the planet.
Wow.
I shit you not. There's news articles in AP about it.
Yeah, wasn't that God, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I remember there was that one fucking spooky scientist. It must have been like 5 to 10 years ago that he was talking about something that would make it so people wouldn't be able to eat meat. I think it was spread through Lyme. So it's like the implication here that it's some sort of, or not Lymes, through ticks or something. Yeah. The implication being, they're weaponizing, which obviously the Lyme disease thing, I kind of had a Freudian slip there. Obviously the Lyme disease, that's been the conspiracy for a long time. And I think they kind of admitted it sort of recently or something. So have like implied it was real, the whole Lyme disease shit. So I don't know. Yeah.
To me, it sounds like it's going to be a pincher sort of deal. They'll try to make it to where people can't or don't want to. And then they'll make it to where you can't or don't want to because of the currency restrictions. So either way,
right.
But
then I think we're all being overly, exposed to these various chemicals that kind of drive compliance in various ways. And this is not only dietary, I mean, you're talking environmental impact. Obviously, I think is a major effect that people aren't quite acknowledging, and that even falls directly into the COVID policies themselves and the masking. Because the masking, I didn't realize until recently how vital, monarch mind control programming utilized masks in driving the alters DID in multiple personality disorder in every way, and fracturing off the neurological pathways in the brain. They would legitimately mask both the victim and the perpetrator would be wearing a mask. And so even the sex trafficked victim would be forced to wear a mask, which I found very interesting. And this is all a part of the sort of dissociation through the trauma that you're experiencing, helping apparently with this process and the sort of brain chemistry, natural, genuine reaction, which blows me away. But again, remove facial recognition, that as well. That's a major component involved. I think people don't understand the frequencies that they apparently the blue screen, right? The blue screen that can directly affect and provide these sort of mind control avenues in various ways, as far as just the systematic programming of the again, I just think it's fascinating, but it's terrifying, because I'm telling you, I think that we're all stuck in this, as I mentioned last week or whenever it was, this sort of digital gulag, and I think that in itself is a perfect example as to why we're sort of subconsciously programmed. And I mean, this is another reason why I think it's a beautiful thing to separate yourself from technology as much as you possibly can, because, hey, it might be having a tremendous amount of impact and a much deeper effect on your psychological ability to kind of just even interpret the news cycle, interpret reality. Maybe there's a reason, we're sort of at a chemical disadvantage, and many of us are too tired to put in the effort and disciplined enough to expose ourselves to the truth. And then, we're all on the path of least resistance, just sort of naturally, because we were placed there as children, and you have to reject that path at a personal, individual level. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and kind of at every level, I'm still learning, and thank God for that, because there's so much that I think is just in terms of the deliberate deception playing out, and the mind manipulators, and every aspect of the misdirection with Epstein. I mean, it's so difficult to discern for yourself, but I think just the effort alone is the divine path, and so it's, you, at the very least, you can put yourself there. And that can provide you with the ability to opt out at a certain level. And then you can have fucking hope. Then there's a window into the future that looks optimistic to me. And so people would like to say the black pill, that's just the new pejorative, like the conspiracy theorist label, to dismiss you at face value, because you're actually attempting to, I don't know, engage with reality in objective, honest terms, assess the real power paradigm.
The thing out of the UK where they're trying to use Wi-Fi to track people based upon their biometrics or their heart rate. They have trouble because apparently autists don't have like the same rise. So I think you guys and all your listeners are safe.
I do think we were talking about the drones earlier. Someone, Chaz the Cornfield, mentioned here, drones will always assure us the shooter acted alone, just like the police always do. Amazing how they discovered that so fast. And you brought up a good point about how this could make things more controllable for, let's be real, obviously, what's the hypothesis of like something like Sandy Hook, that they're like some sort of whatever. So like, how do you, or let's just say there is shenanigans, whether it's completely fake or somewhat fake or whatever, or there's so many different ways that with drones and this and that, and then like we've talked about before about how Ehud Barak and his, no, it's not Carbine, it was Boca, I believe, that was able to mess with essentially make deep fake stuff that supposedly can't even be told that it was deep fake. So it's completely. But funny enough, though, then what do we get from this Epstein stuff? We get completely bullshit, like probably 90s level fucking cover up tech. And so it's like we have this, and so it's like I don't know. It's almost as if they're trying to be more high tech, but they're just not good. I don't know. It's always hard to know to what extent, because I do think there is like there is something about the government being incompetent, but there is evil inside of it. So it's like evil guiding incompetence is kind of what the government is. So and sometimes they nail it, and sometimes they like almost like try to make it too overly technical, and they just fuck it up, and then the real autists out there in the world go, okay, now let me go analyze all the metadata of the 12 different drones you had going around, and we got you fuckers, and with some nerd shit or something that the feds just aren't prepared for,
Yeah. It's like since the moon landing, right? Like they've used far out, man, sort of technology to bamboozle people into believing something. Whether we went there and that was a recording to represent it or whatever the story is, like the actual footage, it ain't close. Who left the cameraman there, I think, is the main thing that people would ask, but nobody thought anything of it. So like, wow. Same thing here.
Right, but don't
it'll
worry.
It'll be some busted up picture of an event, and they'll be like, well, it's a drone, so there's some quality issues.
Right. I'm telling you, man, I think they're just going to reutilize this very same propaganda. It'll come off extremely similar. We just saw that with their announcement that they're going to allegedly put a nuclear reactor on the moon as well, right? Isn't that another ridiculous sort of just empty benchmark that is obviously just going to provide another avenue to laundering taxpayer dollars, in every way. But yeah, as far as like, are they able to accomplish these technical feats? I believe that we have evidence that they have the ability through the intelligence operations that have been exposed to the public. Clearly, their technical ability in terms of mind control is at an extraordinary level, right? And it's almost incomprehensible what they've been able to achieve. When you read through the documents, you read through the victim testimony, and it'll blow your mind. It'll boggle your mind. It feels science fiction level, but at the very same time, I think the political puppets that are very much utilized as assets for public perception purposes only, they're intended to have us believe they're far less, able to achieve certain things that, they're so sloppy that obviously they can't potentially walk us perfectly in lockstep into the dystopian future, which obviously, the agenda is laid. You can kind of like read for yourself what they hope to accomplish, and it's all out there. And in every way, we're heading in that direction. And it doesn't matter which political office or political, party is in office. It's the partisan delusion. And so once again, we're marching in lockstep. And you only have the individuals who opt out as often as possible, looking for some sort of objective solution. But again, it takes actually isolating and acknowledging the root cause. But I think so many people are just caught up in the window dressing, right? What is the hot button? Just in the news at the moment. Like, what is the what seems to be just obviously much more to do with the surface level identity politics of the individual politicians and political puppets. That's what takes the headlines, right? And that's what people focus on more than anything, because they have a dog in the fight. It's partisan, it's tribalism at every level. And this is why I despise collectivism. And so I just psychologically, philosophically. So yeah, I just think that what they have been able to accomplish in terms of the permanent establishment that you do not vote to replace, right? I don't see them being disrupted or sort of like pushed off the path that they are pursuing in any real way. And so again, we're all focusing on the wrong things. I think that's probably more likely the case, and that the political puppets don't actually matter. So as they're committing these ridiculous blunders and their reactionary, attempts to misdirect and deflect away from these, obvious scandals that are drawing the attention of the mass general public, then you kind of, I don't think it really effectively matters at the end of the day, because essentially they just replace that political puppet with the next. And that's that's been just sort of like the name of the game for generations. And so, yeah, I'm not trying to filibuster. I just think it's fucking
No,
dumb.
man, it's Pepsi or Coke. Like that's
Yeah. Well, all right,
Yeah.
client number 9. We love having you on, but we do have other people we need to get through. Get back to your little kiddo. Hopefully, it sleeps well for you. Congrats again on
It's
being
not
the
been
new
going
daddy.
so hot, but all right, later on.
You'll get through it. Trust me, you'll get through it eventually.
right.
With
Hey, I'll have a good one.
enough patience.
Later, buddy.
But anyways, yeah, you'll miss this one day, buddy. But yeah, go and bring on. Hey, what's up, Jacob? By the way, this is the motherfucker you can thank for the video. Appreciate it, bud. This was a fun one today. They have been. I think they've been improving week by week. I think so. So
yeah,
good things coming. So what's up, bud? You got any thoughts? Anything you wanted to hit on this week?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to bring up the 2024 financial report that just dropped not too long ago. In the very, very back. So if you go read it, it's like a 260 something page document. Don't read the first 208 pages.
I won't. Don't worry about it.
Right in the very back, there is a report. It's can't remember the office. It's the independent like financial audit governance something or other. I don't know. It's an independent audit of like the Fed. And basically like everything that they put out. If you go and read through that document, it's only 30 pages, 30-ish pages. It actually states in the document that anything that the Fed has released over the past like 26 years is just completely made up. Like they don't have any sort of substantial information to actually say whether what the Fed is claiming is actually true or not. So, in my opinion, I think that makes like things like the U.S. debt clock, where we're supposedly 37 trillion in debt. I think it's much higher. I think it's closer to like 300 trillion.
That makes sense.
I mean, but at the same time, what this means is like nobody actually knows the number, right? So, we're already under a CBDC system. It's just physical versus digital. That's the only difference. It's the Fed, you know.
Yeah.
It's fucking fake money. All of this is fake. Nobody knows how far in debt we actually are. Like that's the scariest fucking thing I've ever heard. I mean, like what? We don't know where any of the money's going. We don't know how much is made. We don't know anything. So it's all fake. It's all fake and made up. So. I mean, to me, that sounds like a CBDC.
Yeah.
Just physical. So we're already in the matrix.
For sure. But they're implementing the stable coins in this very moment.
Right.
Right. And
no,
so
they already exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're trying.
That's what Tether
we can
is.
see if they adopt it, though. So that'll be the next thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. They'll probably win in some way, but I don't know. I mean, this is definitely not my forte, but I also could see how, like, when you're moving into this realm, that there's I don't know. There's something to the point of like this all funny money, and I think there's a parallel there between kind of like we were talking about with like the Berenson thing earlier, and just kind of like how the old ways are falling apart, and even from a political. I mean, look, we're literally at a point where I think like I read a poll thing. I believe Trump at this point in time is the lowest fucking approval rate of any president ever. At this point in their thing, and so it's like, and we were talking about this, like they're already throwing out the Vance, and it's like I could see some big shit happening, but point being is it's like we're in this level of ludicrousness to where I think there's a large portion, and I wouldn't be surprised if within the year there's even more people that buy onto this. We get to the beyond adoption level of an idea where, like, say there's an insane amount of people who just think like the president is a pedophile or a cover for pedophilia. Like that's where people are now. Like the government is just becoming more and more absurd, and any of the old status quos or whatever, the ways that they used to be, are kind of falling apart, and I think that applies a lot, obviously, in a far more rigid and in a more rigid sense when it comes to money. But I think it kind of applies there as well. So, and they're trying to make the new, which from like an influence perspective, I guess this kind of goes back to our like Tucker versus Fuentes thing. They're trying to build the new Tuckers, and the people are still kind of going, fuck you. And like maybe Fuentes isn't a Fed, but for the sake of this, let's say he's not. And they'll go like, no, I want Fuentes. Fuck you. Like I don't want your Fed broccoli. I want Fuentes or whatever. Like this is what people are. They're not taking the new. Like they're trying to provide. They keep trying to provide the new, but I don't know how many times we go through this cycle, and it is like history rhymes, and there's like a. But you do. There's like an ascension. It's almost like a helix. Like through each time as we go through this circle, we elevate a little bit, and so like we get a little bit better each time. And so it's like I don't know. We're kind of circling the same drain, but while getting a little bit better. And that's what it feels like here, a little bit to me at least. So maybe there's something there I feel like maybe there's an application there with money as well. And like because we're pointing out even more so, they're like almost revealing the level of funny money. And that's going to reflect over time. We may not see it right now. It might be a lagging indicator. But I think the market will respond and they'll find things they do trust as forms of currency in one way, shape, or form. Whether that becomes a CBDC or not, I don't know. That's kind of the battle here, and hopefully it doesn't. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, a little bit of a rant, but I think that weirdly this stuff kind of all ties together.
Right.
I think when they feel like potentially, at least like the power cabal behind the scenes that I refer to as the permanent establishment, I think the moment that they feel as if, a little bit of the public is beginning to see the true point, right? That they're attempting to, at the very least, pursue just the agenda alone. It's slipping from them, the level of deception. They always just greenlight a major crisis. That's every single time. And it provides the perfect distraction for the vast majority to effectively achieve no real accountability, which is always what they're, hoping to insulate themselves from. So I just think that, I'm looking out for every aspect of these geopolitical conflicts. We're pivoting to Taiwan while we're also permanently escalating in Ukraine. What are those Typhoon fucking missiles that we're deploying everywhere that are pissing off Putin and China's very upset. Yeah, and Typhon's entirely a cult. It's a deity.
Well, it's set.
Yeah, dude, I know, but that's what.
Wait, do you know something about Typhon, Jules? I never would have known.
Fuck you. Dude, you know what else? Typhon has been used in so many different aspects of pop culture as well. Like even in fucking Borderlands 3, one of the it's not newer. It's just, they just dropped Borderlands 4, but just like a video game, right? Fucking what was the end? One of the end bosses was Typhon, which just instantly every level of the fucking game's narrative and plot line fit perfectly into the occult. It was crazy how I watched it playing out, but once you kind of have some sort of like you've been exposed.
Well, yeah, he is the adversary. He is the representation of the lower self. And
well, he's like the prime beast. Like he's like even Typhon in Greek lore. He's like what the king of monsters essentially. Like he's the monster of monsters. So it makes sense even from a set perspective, looking as like the beast within. The primal self. Those different ways you can interpret it as well. Yeah,
sort of Damocles in a way, right? If you're considering the Bhagavad Gita, right, and the war within. That's what I always loved about the Hindu scripture. I thought it was fucking really interesting, and the way you could interpret it as far as how it seems to generically
it seems like a battle, but it's
Absolutely.
like it is a battle within himself,
right? And then he. At the end of it all, right, the sword of Damocles hanging over, it's basically the ultimate, consequence, the fate, the sort of unescapable. But it's so interesting because it forces you to obviously reflect on who you are. That's the entire. Once you can achieve victory internally within the context of who you are as your character, your values. In every way, it kind of but it puts it in this strange sort of, larger than life, supernatural context that you're supposed to interpret for yourself, right? But I think it is a beautiful notion, and I forgot there's a final message that he's given before he goes out to the field of battle, and it's like one of the most it definitely, if you're ever attempting to just, for your own well-being. Just try and drive yourself to become better. just rigorously reflect on your character defects and attempt to, pursue just a higher form, right? That you hope to achieve in a certain way, just based on your ethical values and moral foundation, then I think it is very valuable, honestly, as far as reading that scripture in a way. I mean, the Upanishads are interesting as well, but I will say that just the Hindu, the doctrines that are within the sort of Hinduism, it's very interesting to go through, and I think it does provide something valuable. But my point being with all of that is that I do see there's optimism to be had. Just even the language being forced to change as far as this ridiculous what was it, the FEMA funding, right, for the states, which apparently since April this has been a public document, and finally there was some sort of mainstream media coverage that gained this sort of natural backlash, and forced the Trump administration to kind of change the terms of the document. It was Reuters, that was what it was, that reported on this. And yeah, basically the FEMA FEMA funding from the DHS to certain states basically was being restricted based on your stance on Israel, your state's stance on Israel, right, publicly, which I found discriminatory, prohibited boycott, right, as far as the Israeli boycott that they're claiming. Now, this is interesting because the language was forced to change, obviously, due to the fact that you had all of this overwhelming reaction to it. And so they had to issue a statement, which I thought was hilarious as well. And, but yeah, again, I feel as if this is the consequential nature of the people actually having their voice heard at a certain level, to where, yeah, it's not necessarily any real impactful change that's being made, right? But they're being forced to change the language that they're using at the very least. And so it's not as if they stopped utilizing this, pretext of denying FEMA aid domestically to certain states based on their political stance on Israel. And if they're allowing these boycotts and protests to take place, they're withholding disaster funds, right, for any states and cities who allegedly boycott Israel.
That's treasonous.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah,
100%.
Should be executed.
Absolutely, man. And so they're forced to reverse this pledge, right? Reuters just published a new article that explains how the Trump administration reversed the language in this disaster document, right, that had been issued as early as, I think, April. It had been publicly available, but still, it forced them to reverse the course, right, at the very least. And so they removed that statement that had been in the original document, which the statement itself legitimately said, here, I'll pull it real quick, because this is just.
You want me to pull it up? You got it?
I'm sorry, I should have sent it earlier, honestly.
You never send them.
Yeah, I know, my bad, buddy. I never send anything. I just pull way too much shit.
Jose doesn't send them either. It's okay.
Hey, I sent them today, and then
did you?
Yeah, I sent a shitload today. You didn't even know. I dropped them in the group chat. What are you doing, dude?
It was a long day, man.
It's all good. It's all good. We'll move forward together. All right.
Crazy,
what are we showing here?
So basically, this is the DHS document that had been publicly available since April, and basically it's saying that this is under the anti-discrimination a part of the document, and it essentially, as the D, right, which it just has letters that present the topic points. And so basically, discriminatory prohibited boycott means refusing to deal, cutting commercial relations, or otherwise limiting commercial relations specifically with Israeli companies or with companies doing business in or with Israel or authorized by. And this effectively means that these are the standard terms and conditions that are being presented to these states and cities who are attempting to, obviously receive some sort of domestic funding in terms of a natural disaster of some kind.
Did you see their non-answer? DHS's non-answer?
Yeah,
that's
dude.
they gave the like, oh well, we wouldn't and then they put some sort of thing at the end that was like, but like it does sort of say this, but it was like it was very corporate, like, oh, that's bullshit, but it's true.
Right. I know. Yeah, I pulled it actually. Hold on, let me find it because it's super interesting what they actually said. They said,
what happened to freedom of association? What if I just don't want to?
Yeah, it's literally the First Amendment. It is kind of wild. This is one of those things. Was it like 30 some odd states? I think they have BDS laws in place or some shit like that. Yep. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's what basically this was all a condition on FEMA funding that was attempting to basically target the BDS movement, and any actual boycotts that have been, obviously implemented and actively, just as far as I think they're attempting to obviously undermine the BDS movement in the States, clearly domestically. And so this is just another way that they could attempt to do that. But this is how they chose to respond, which is hilarious. And basically they said there's no FEMA requirement tied to Israel and any current NOFO. No states have lost funding and no new conditions have been imposed. And FEMA grants remain governed by existing law and policy and not political litmus tests. DHS will enforce all anti-discrimination laws and policies, including as it relates to the BDS movement, which is expressly grounded in anti-Semitism. So they still double down in a certain way, right? Those who engage in racial discrimination should not receive a single dollar of federal funding.
Okay. So it's a race and a religion.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. It's whatever you want it to be, is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, but I mean, all of this makes sense when you have, Mike Johnson going over to this is like an illegal precedent setting notion of what he just did visiting this settlement. Right. I mean, it's crazy.
Which he apparently is spending like weeks there. You don't know if you know this, like Mike Johnson. Apparently he's like, I believe he's damn near like until the recess is over, which the crazy thing is I guess he's told people that, and I guess they have it recorded, and that he was going to, because bear in mind, this most recent recess of Congress was put in place specifically, and they've admitted this, they said it over and over again, like they weren't denying it, they literally moved heaven and earth to rearrange things to essentially go to recess early for weeks in Congress and then come back. And he had told them, and it was for the Epstein stuff, to prevent a vote on the Epstein stuff that Ro Khanna and I believe Massey had pushed through or whatever. Anyways.
And then he even said that he was, I believe he said he was going to remain in his own district, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was getting at. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, he told me he's going to remain in his own district to at least be like, oh, just you could see their concerns, and then goes off to Israel to go kiss the wall. It stays there until basically it's time to go back into session. So it's almost as if like he's just got some Jew rubbing his shoulder and like, you got it, man, you got it, you can do what you got.
Honestly,
like he's just like for days just amping him, like, all right, this is what you got to say. This talking point, that talking point, this talking point. Nothing happened, not shit, nothing. Don't know nothing. Right? You got it, buddy.
The message that he gave too publicly, right? When he's over there, the language that he used.
Yeah.
The promise to the
use
Jewish
a religious
people.
language. Yep. Use a religious language, and like we're called upon in the Bible to blah 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 blah. All this like language of we're going to serve the Jews and suck their cock to the till they're till it's the back of my throat type deal or whatever that God calls them to do.
Person that wants to come on.
Oh yeah, Jacob, we're gonna go ahead and ditch you. We're gonna bring on the next feller. And we'll see you again sometime soon, buddy. We'll bring on, I believe, Shy, and then I believe that'll be the last
podcast. Everybody,
hell yeah! And this will be the last guy for the night, and we'll probably be out of here in like 10 minutes or so. So, what's up, Shy? What you got for us?
What's going on, guys?
What's up, brother?
How you feeling? All right. I don't know. You guys touched on a lot of stuff, I guess. I did want to go back to when you guys were talking about the Egyptian stuff with that 3, 4, 5, that number stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make a correction about like earlier when I was on, like the first time I talked about Set being known as Seth, and I even intuitively knew that was wrong. That's you know, the Greek, the Hellenistic version of Set. I just wanted to say that like when it comes to all this extra stuff that they throw on it, it's all later Greek, Roman stuff. It's like comes in way after, like Egypt or known as Kemet, where we get the word like chemistry and that
alchemy.
Correct. It started off like perfect. It started off very advanced, and over time, it's like a one place where the people that would come in and conquer it would assimilate to that culture. Like that culture was so strong that they just took it over. It's like,
was that because of Atlantis?
I don't know. I just know that it was very much. There was definitely knowledge coming from before. So yeah, you could say like Atlantean type knowledge.
The Atlantean period. Yeah.
Indeed. So that's when it starts like say like I think like the 1500s BC, 1600 BC, like that's when like the Hyksos period started. Then after like the Hellenistic period didn't even come until like 300 BC, and then the Roman period is like the 30, like around Jesus time and stuff. So it's just like, and even like Egypt is like it's the only place that we have like a science for. You have Egyptology. You know what I'm saying? It's the only place that has its own science that we even study to this day. You know, so like all that extra stuff, like when we start getting into like the cult of Set and all that stuff, that's all like Hellenistic shit. Like you want to like really like they were the ones that were raping children and fucking like, you know what I'm saying? Aristotle, like with all like all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And then the Romans, and it's like it was like a status thing. It was like it was really a thing that they like did on slave, like young boy slaves, and it was like pederasty.
It's all that bussy. That's what it's about.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like it was weird. It was like just like putting dominance over things like that.
Was that common more so than not?
It was very common back then, especially among like the rich, the elite people and shit. Yeah. And like really you just couldn't do it to like a child that was like of the elite or something like that. But all the rest, you know, were like fair game type shit. And it was like somewhat like encouraged type shit. Like
sounds very Jewish.
Place, shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like so like, and then they just like drape it with all that Egyptian stuff to make it just seem like all, you know, ancient, you know, bring it back and make it even more mysterious. But it's always just like they're just putting their shit on top of that, you know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, all the different pantheons. I mean, they're pretty much. I mean, this is really fucking Jules' realm. But let's be real, especially when you're talking pantheon gods. I mean, it's like, let's be real. It's all fucking just different versions of one to the other. And hell, even then, if you get super Gnostic with it, you can even go all the way back to even with God, Yahweh, and like take the fact that used to be part of a multi-theistic faith or belief, I guess you could say, and then honed in on one. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like these all just, one idea migrates to another idea and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, especially between the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, like I mean, hell, you can get into the Norse. I mean, they kind of all are basically the pantheon type gods. They're all the
There's
same
ways
shit
to track it, but it is like a game of telephone, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get the full interpretation of what came before, which fucking sucks, man. Which
is confusing because the monotheistic thing, like I was kind of getting at, and even in a certain sense, that is like that's just a remnant of polytheism from before, and like for some reason they got really, because what was it, the Jews, like even then it was the storm god Yahweh, and even then there was like two gods. There was
Bel,
or
Baal,
and
Yahweh,
then
who is the
Baal
brother
and
of
Yahweh,
the sons of El.
which Baal is always painted as like evil, but I believe technically they were both storm gods, and Baal was actually the storm god that was like the storm that's like the gentle storm that, essentially fertility of sorts, like it's supposed to be like rain, light raining, and what's good for the earth, whereas Yahweh was like a fearsome storm, like a hurricane, like destructive. And so like that was their god, like Yahweh, like the god of the Israelites, the
god of war too.
Yeah, the god of war, essentially, like the god of death, like much more in the realm of like an Odin, like a hanged god or something along those lines. Like it's like okay, cool. Like maybe that is, I don't know. Maybe I'm pissing off the Christians right now, but it's like when you get into what Yahweh was, you're like, yo, dog, this has some wild implications, especially when you read the Old Testament and you realize what those motherfuckers were doing across the fucking desert.
You should ask, man. I mean, yeah,
And if you lived in the desert, my bad to cut you off. If you lived in the desert, a storm, no matter how violent it would be somewhat very welcome. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh fuck, Jerry just got hit by lightning. Fuck, shit out his yarmulke on. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
right.
God from smiting you on your head type shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's like we still love the rain, even though Jerry just got it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, all right, guys, we're almost at 2 hours. I feel like probably a good spot to stop it at. Well, I guess we'll let you go, Shy.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you joining us. Everyone, keep this in mind. Join next week. This was I believe it was all patrons this week, so I don't believe we got anybody else who wasn't a patron. No, actually all patrons. So, hey, don't be poor. Give us money. But appreciate you joining us, Shy. Austin, go ahead. But
one more thing.
Go ahead, buddy.
Shameless shout out. If anyone is interested in art, I put a lot of esoteric and stuff up. So I'm an artist. You can check me out on Instagram at Impetus of Thought if you're interested in looking smart.
Oh, speaking of, there was someone who DM'd me, and I don't know if maybe because I got all this shit that flowed in when I came back, because I went on vacation to Quantico or Langley or just kidding, the Bahamas or whatever, and then I got all this shit back, and there was one of the guys it was a Stinky Sock 420, and then when I was going back and trying to message everybody, and you sent me a message, and then your account was gone. So if you have some other way to get a hold of me, I remember I saw the message you sent, and it was like, oh shit, I do want to respond to him. Just want to let you know I wasn't ignoring you. I don't know what's going on with your account, like deleted something. Find a way to get contact me. I am interested in what you were talking about in the DMs. So if you're out there, Stinky Sock 420, you know what's up. Hit me up. But anyways, appreciate you
joining. Your Instagram in the private chat.
Yeah, Jules, where can people find you at, bud? And see you, Shy. We're gonna kick you. Oh, there you go. You're out.
Guys, I am on Twitter, X, whatever, at Graypilled Pod, Instagram Graypilled _ podcast. Whenever I use that, Rumble, you can find me there. All my content, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Patreon.com/Graypill Podcast. We do an esoteric book review that's exclusive to Patreon every Saturday morning with Subliminal Messenger and Season of the Rat. It's a good time. You get a sticker pack, a lot of cool perks that come out of that. We do watch parties. Good shit. And having Esoteric Eddie on next Sunday, I believe, and going on John Lee Chowback's podcast next Wednesday night. So hopefully I'll be able to stream that and keep everybody updated on what show. It's my son's birthday Saturday, so don't know what shows I'll be having this weekend, but y'all be on the lookout.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Hustle Bones, I don't know if this is a joke. He's saying, wait, I can call if I'm not a patron? Yes, you guys can. Just a reminder for the non-patrons, during the intermission in the middle, we drop them in the live chats. We drop them in, on
okay, so
Jules'.
when you drop it in YouTube, you can't do the whole, they won't let you, it won't let you post a link. So you have to go StreamYard.com or StreamYard.com, enter, and then I put /link. So
there you go.
If people see that, and I
or
put it
go to
in
Rumble, it's hyperlinked
it
there.
on my X.
Yeah. Or on his X. There you go. So, or you can pay us. But on that, Austin, where can people pay you, and where can they find your work at?
Yeah, man. The Underclass podcast at patreon.com for sure. Best place to support me. Just dropped another whatever this is for the week. It was a lot of fun this week, so check that one out. And yeah, I have a couple interviews coming up. Should be fun. But I'm gonna try and hunker down, get the ball rolling on my solo project by the end of the week. That way I feel like I'm effectively getting something valuable accomplished. But besides just prepping for interviews, obviously. But yeah, beyond that, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
I got nothing but love for you guys. You know that much. There's plenty more to definitely. Just at the very least, obviously, there's so much happening in this current news cycle that it's just so difficult to keep up. And you know what I mean. And as far as like everything happening in terms of Gaza itself, there is an overwhelming reaction of public outcry that's taking place internationally. And there was just this very interesting, kind of public protest in Australia. I thought was you should go check it out. I think even Julian Assange attended. It was called the March for Humanity, and allegedly like over 300,000 people attended, and it looked crazy from the footage of them like standing on this bridge. And I'm not much for believing that protests effectively accomplish much change, but at the same time, and it usually, for the most part, only affects the lifestyle of the more individuals of the general public, the underclass, the peasant class. I think there's far less impact whenever there's major protests on the actual individuals in charge. But I will say it is optimistic, and it gives me a little hope that there's, at the very least, a very large international outcry for the current conflict in Gaza, just because it does deserve much more attention than even it is getting. Although I will say how much I've been desensitized due to the level of child death in my algorithm. It's kind of extraordinary. And honestly, it bothers me that it doesn't affect me more. And I think it's just due to the overexposure. Honestly, at this point, I've seen so many dead children starving in my feed that it's just like, my God. So anyway, there's an active genocide being carried out in this very moment. And even Epstein deserves second fiddle to I believe that international conflict, if only to understand the human impact, and the children, man, especially. It's like, my God, brother, what did they say? All children in Gaza under the age of 5 are at risk of starvation. Like, it's fascinating how much is the plight, right? But anyway, I love you guys, and definitely check out my recent interviews. I think you'll probably enjoy them. They were good conversations that I appreciated very much. So beyond that, man.
Oh yeah. Well, if you guys do want to try to keep up with the daily news cycle, don't forget, I do have a daily show. And now I say daily, it's usually Monday through Friday, but Wednesday through Friday, I don't know, it really depends what days I pick up shifts, but I usually do at least 3 days a week, usually around 11 a.m. Eastern, go live on YouTube and Rumble and X, for those who appreciate that. Obviously, it goes out on the podcatchers later, but for those who want to jump in for a live stream, hang out, who like this live audience vibe, a lot of people like to hang out in the mornings. It's also a good spot to kind of, I call it the morning dump, haha, poop, but it's also kind of, I call it that because it's an info dump. I use that to kind of keep me true to understanding what's going on in the world, and you guys can come along with me. It's very rough, very raw, but it's just kind of raw reactions with a lot of stuff. It's stuff I haven't even processed yet, so this is like literally kind of doing my research, and we're going through it together, whatever the things are of the day. I basically just bookmark the fuck out of things, and then we go through them together, whatever I think are the important stories of the day. Not always new stuff. Sometimes it's old stuff. I like to dig into Oklahoma City bombing, stuff like that. But either way, I highly recommend it. I enjoy the morning dump, so join us for those. But yeah, that's like I said, 11 a.m. Otherwise, I do usually put out 1 to 2 of the paywalled No Way Jose episodes. For example, me and Austin, actually just, on Monday, I dropped our part 2 of Dutro. We're getting ready to, on Thursday, I think, record part 3. Also have some other interesting interviews coming up here soon, so keep an eye on that stuff. And obviously, we'll keep doing these. If you guys want guests for these shows, let us know. But otherwise, follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. Make sure to leave a like, share, subscribe, comment on our stuff. This is the No Way Jose podcast. You can find me on YouTube. Like I said, all major art podcasters Rumble as well. And yeah, if you want to support what I'm doing over here, you can do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. That's the best way you can support this show. Also, don't forget, leave 5-star reviews. Those help out a lot. But if you want to directly support the show, money is the best way to do that. The best way to help the show out. And at the lowest level, at the $2, that's where you get access to early episodes. Usually do 1 to 2 of those a week. That's the paywall content, and usually keep about 4 or so behind the paywall at any given time. So that's weeks of paywall content. The highest level is my sponsors, and I give them a big shout out. I also get an ad-free RSS feed there. You also get access to the Telegram, and you get access to the pre-show and priority for the call-ins for Already Dead, the show we do today on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. But the highest level is my sponsors. I give them the big shout out every episode because they're each the big bucks, and I love you guys. I have my previous co-hosts on Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, also have at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRACK, at _ Fazil, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, Will Bell, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, Big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Taculus, and not Mossad. I would definitely not ever be sponsored by them. I have a patron who likes to change the name of it for funsies. But with that, guys, love you all. We're out here. Join me tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. But other than that, we're out. See y'all. And join us next week for another Already Dead at Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. With that, we are out. Bye-bye.